So other than voting for the bond measure, what would you suggest is the most effective way we could propel this forward?
Well, right now, let's go back to the bond. So we do have the bond. It's on the ballot, Proposition 1. We've been, the High-Speed Rail Authority, they're very supportive of some changes to that language. And just to make it a little bit more open and just to settle some details about the proposition. And there's a AB 3034. It went through the state assembly. It's in the state senate. It's gone through some revisions. And I'm not here to be an advocate. I'm not part of the government relations. I am an engineer, but there are other people that are working to try to revert back to the original language. So something that people can do right now is to call up their representatives on the state senate and ask them to revert back to the original language. Pick up the phone, make phone calls. But that's what you could do right now. The other part is register to vote and vote for Proposition 1. We do need to have this. Part of this proposition is that we only need the majority. It's not a 2/3, it's a 50 plus 1%. So right now, it's been polling quite favorably. It looks like we have about 60%, but as you know from polls, they might not always be right.
Is there a minimum distance you have to go to use the high-speed portion of the system?
For that one, it's really a balance between having the ridership, making it efficient. This system can go up to 200 miles per hour. And the only way you can reach that is that if you're allowed to accelerate, to get up to that speed, have long stretches. So here again, there's a balance between trying to service everybody, but which you really can't.
What you're saying is you don't want to say what that minimum distance is.
Well, on this one, the way that we've identified this in the program level documents is that we service regions. So for the segment that I'm working on, there is a station in El Union Station. There's one in San Gabriel Valley. Then we're looking at Riverside, and then going south down to San Diego. There's a couple more stations, and this is part of the program approved EIR. And it doesn't mean that we can't change those station locations, but there have been analyses to identify what makes the most sense in terms of the ridership, how many stations should we have. So I don't know if we could add more stations to that, but there are definite possibilities of shifting.
Okay, so even though your map shows a number of cities on your route, that just means it's passing through those cities. Right now, you're only planning a few stations.
No, those are stations. Those are proposed stations.
Okay.
I'm trying to understand more about the funding. If the state puts up $10 billion, is the state going to own the system? And it's going to be a public utility, a public transit authority? Is it going to be
this is being designed, constructed, and operated by the state. There's a separate authority. The High-Speed Rail Authority is a state funded.
So it'll be as public as the MTA?
Yes.
And then it'll be controlled by the people we saw on the board on the.
Well, that's the board. I mean, the board members could change, but it is
right.
The
and
state.
The participation of French, Japanese companies, will they have an equity participation in the ownership?
I don't know the specifics on that, but there would be something in there for other
entities
and entities to take part of it, because they need to be able to also generate some revenue, because they're not just going to give us,
when you say they're going to need they're going to need to generate some revenue, meaning they're going to need profits to participate. Sure. Is that what you're saying?
Right.
So this isn't a question like Bear Stearns or Freddie Mac, where the risk is socialized and the profit is privatized. It's not a case of that. Is that right?
The risk is shared.
And are the revenues, the risk is shared among whom and what proportion, and who gets the taxpayers share the risk and the private companies share the revenue? Is that the plan?
No, they would share the risk as well. But for this one, it's almost like it's a chicken and an egg question. I mean, at what point do you really start? I mean, we can't start from,
If it's a good business proposition, why don't the Japanese and French invest in it right now?
well, the other question on
Why
this.
don't we invest in it right now?
Well, I was
Right.
going to say the other question. That's a very good question. And what,
Please let her talk. Please let her
yeah,
talk.
Yeah.
and that is a very good question. And people say, well, this is such a good business model. Why don't they invest? Well, let's look at our highway system. Who funded that?
The federal government.
The federal government funded that. It's funded by our government, whether it's a state or federal. We have the state is funding highway improvements. Our local agencies are funding highway. They're putting all this into capital improvements. So what we're proposing is that the state and our taxpayers help put the seed money in, and we're talking, 25%. We're not going to fund all of the capital investment into this. We're asking for a piece of it to start the process. We've gotten through a program approved environmental, but we still need to study the individual segments, get that process going, approved, and start some construction. Now, the other part of what you're talking about, it's interesting because there are some people like that even though our government has poured so much capital into our highway system
And our
and our airports, into all these other systems, and not into our highways, but still they think that high-speed rail, they don't understand it. They think it's Amtrak, and this is not Amtrak. This is a totally different technology which happens to use rail tracks, but it is a different technology. So something that actually is being kicked around is trying to get some letters of commitment from these private entities to support high-speed rail financially. So it is out there, but in all fairness, I mean, we have put so much into the rest of our infrastructure that we should be able to put something into that as well.
Let her talk. Let her give her speech unfinished.
Okay. There's going to be some back and forth. I do want some respectful back and forth and not talking over. I think she was finishing enough where he can ask a question.
But I was going to say, if one more question from you. I think there are some other hands back there. I'd be happy to talk to you more about this afterward. But I was just wanting to try to address the different concerns. And in terms of the financial plan, there are probably some other people that could address that a little better than I am. Once again, I'm on the planning, the engineering. We're out there in our feasibility study that we did in 2006-07. We are talking to the corridor cities about where would the best place be for a station. And so those are the kind of questions. I'm on the design and engineering, but I could get you in touch with people if you want to talk more about the financial plan. Yes.
I noticed in the video that the sound of it going by, and I know